This is a short video that is going to explain how to measure in situ water quality. So the video will cover what water quality we can actually measure in stream, what we use to measure the water quality, what actually happens on site, some information about the calibration of the meters, and finally, how we can actually measure water quality. The type of parameters we can measure in stream include things like water temperature, dissolved oxygen, conductivity or salt levels, pH and turbidity. Each of these parameters have an optimum range that help maintain a healthy ecosystem. By measuring these parameters, we get an indication of how healthy or potentially how polluted a stream or wetland is. There are guidelines that you can compare your measurements to see what condition the river or wetland is once you have measured it. There are many different types of meters that you can use to measure water quality. Some may be a multi-probe that measures all of the water quality parameters. Others may be a single meter that measures just one parameter. Other meters, like the turbidity, may involve collecting a water sample and then reading the results in the meter. Now I'm going to explain what to do on site. The first thing you need to do is calibrate your meter. So this is where you make sure the meter is working properly and it's going to give you an accurate reading. A calibration may involve immersing the probe in a known standard solution, or perhaps exposing it to the air and checking it is reading what you expect. All of the meters will come with a set of instructions on how to calibrate them. Now we are ready for the fun part, actually measuring the water quality. So we are using a multi-probe that will measure conductivity, pH, water temperature, and dissolved oxygen. In a wetland, such as in this picture, you will need to enter into the wetland and find a spot where it hasn't been disturbed and put the probes in. As there's no moving water, you will need to gently move the probes so that you can get an accurate reading. If you are in a river that has flowing water, then you need to make sure that you are standing downstream of the meters so you're not disturbing the water. Sometimes you are able to leave the meter on the bank and dangle the probes in. If you can't get into the wetland, then you can get a bucket of water, say no more than 5 litres, and measure the water quality in the bucket. Just make sure it is in the water that is clean and hasn't been disturbed. Finally, we will look at how to take a turbidity sample and measure it. So you start by getting your glass container or vial to get the sample of water. You go into the water and make sure that you rinse the container a few times before collecting the actual sample. Take your sample again in an area that hasn't been disturbed and bring it back to put it into the turbidity meter. Clean off the water on the outside of the container and place it in the meter to get the reading. So the turbidity of this wetland is 106 NTUs. And that's the end of our instructional video. Thank you for listening.